I say hate mail, I mean it was maybe 2 or 3 emails back at that time.
Right, and now you have the Amero for people to hate you for.
Yeah. But it's only been like 2. It's only been like 2. I mean, only one of them was like really, you're a traitor, and all this kind of stuff. The other ones were kind of more vague, but they weren't, they were asking like, why are you making this coin? We don't want this coin, and et cetera, et cetera. But a couple of them were like that. But one of them was really, you're a traitor and some other things like that.
Is this the Freedom Tower or the Amero?
The Amero.
The Amero, okay. Okay, so the Amero, you've only received about 3 very negative emails, or...
Well, yeah, I mean negative towards me and what I did.
Right.
But I would say only one of them was like really, really negative. The other 2 were kind of moderately. But there have been quite a few people that email me and say, I like the coin, I don't really like this idea of the North American Union. I can say that I've personally, the feedback I've gotten, I haven't gotten anyone that's contacted me and said, I think this is, North American Union thing would be a great idea and we should do it. Not one person has replied to say that. I've had quite a few people that don't really say, most people that buy the coins, they don't say anything. They just like the coin, so they want to have the coin for their collection. But the people, when they do mention something about North American Union, they're neutral to very much against it.
I guess if someone's going to take the time to actually email you their opinions, they're probably
very strong. You have strong opinions about it.
Right.
The people that don't have strong opinions, they probably don't even know. I mean, they probably haven't really thought about the whole thing. But maybe the coin will help that, I guess, in some respects. But I mean, even so, the coin is going to reach out, on a fairly limited number of people. And certainly there was a big internet furor over this whole thing when my coins, images came out. I know a lot of people buy the coins and are showing them around to their friends and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had seen, some conflicting reports early on where it was, that these were, official coins that someone had.
You talking about the Hal Turner?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't actually seen those reports, but in looking up on on your statement, I came across this information, and I just thought that was interesting. That at some point, someone tried to pass your coins off as something else entirely.
Well, yeah. Well, here's what happened. There's this fellow called Hal Turner. He runs this talk radio show. He's got a website, and his show is like banned at a lot of companies because of hate speech.
Okay.
But anyway, it was only like a day after I posted images of my first Amero coin that I just made on my own website. It wasn't like much more than a day later. All of a sudden, my images with Hal Turner, with the lettering exposed by HalTurner.com plastered over my image. They showed up on his website, and there was no reference of where the images came from on his website, no credit to where they came from, and no contact asking for permission to do this. They just took them, put their logo on them, and put them on their website. And I emailed them, tried to contact them. Of course, never got any reply. And so they went on, just to claim that this is, the government was going to betray us all, and that these were government-made Amero coins and whatnot. And of course, it was feeding this whole internet frenzy over these things, which I had never. I expected this thing to these Amero coins to be known only to a few, specialized coin collectors who collect these kind of fantasy type coins. I never thought it would even reach outside of coin collecting circles in any manner. But this Hal Turner site thing changed that in a hurry. So then people started emailing him and whatnot. I'm guessing this is what happened, and telling him, well, the coins, you can go to this website and buy the coin. Well, about a week or so after I had sent out several of my Amero coins, this Hal Turner got a coin in the mail. And on his website, he claimed that his secret contact in the Treasury Department smuggled the coin out of the Denver Mint and gave it to him. And he made this big deal about his website. Here's the proof. Here's the Amero coins are real, and these are government made and this and that. But I think hopefully he looks more like a fool now, because now that I sold more of the coins, and anyone, I think people realize now that anyone can buy one.
Right.
I think a lot of people. I think some people came to my website just to buy one, just to see if it was really a real website and not some something. Because this Hal Turner even came back and said, well, my whole website and my persona was invented as a cover story to cover this whole fiasco of the Amero coins getting leaked out early. So I've had people, I think, come. I don't know for sure, but I bet I've had at least a couple of people come to the website and actually buy a coin just so they could see that if they really get one or not.
Would you say that actually his little blow up there actually aided in certainly it was a nice little marketing thing for you? Certainly.
Well, I have to say it didn't. I'd rather not happen this way, but it certainly didn't hurt the sales. Well, but what helped a little more was that, of course, these other websites picked up on it and did a little bit more research to come up with more truthful reporting. Like WorldNet Daily, Jerome Corsi, WorldNet Daily, called me up, the next day. Unlike the folks at Al Turner, which never even bothered to try to contact me and ask me anything, even the simplest question. At least WorldNet Daily and Jerome Corsi, they called up and asked me questions about it. He wrote a couple articles about it.
Yeah, I had actually read there about it, and because I had seen on a few sites in doing some research. I didn't see anything with this Hal Turner, but just people kind of, I guess, repeating that same kind of idea of that this was some sort of secret coin or, some sort of early prototype. What was interesting, it took a little more research, and this was maybe a few months back, but it actually took some doing to find any real information on it. And I guess that's the point at which you kind of started making some kind of statement about it, or what point was that? Was that actual WorldNet Daily, or?
Well, yeah, I tried to clarify my position on the whole issue and making the coins. I had to clarify that in an article on these coins in the Coin World, which is a weekly newspaper for coin collectors with pretty wide circulation. So I got some pretty good exposure, of course, from all those things. I mean, some people say publicity is never a bad thing, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. But I mean, it's helped my sales of these coins, but it's also been sort of a headache at the same time.
Yeah, there's that kind of double-edged sword there. You were talking before about the kind of Freedom Tower and whether it was, silver-plated or actually silver, and I see on your Amero coins even, they're talking about, being troy ounce of gold and stuff like that. Would you, I don't know if you're more interested as a collector or if you have any kind of actual interest in the value of the currency and whatnot, but are you following at all, obviously, the decline of the U.S. dollar, the paper money, and do you have any opinion on whether or not we should have more gold and silver coinage?
Well, personally, I would recommend that everybody have some of their assets maybe in precious metals. Something, other than dollar exposure entirely. The U.S. Constitution says that all money has to be gold or silver.
What also states that it should be printed by the Treasury, not a Federal Reserve.
Correct. The Federal Reserve is a corporate-owned entity.
Oh, yeah.
In some ways, its monetary system has served the country okay, but I certainly don't like a lot of aspects of it. A lot of people are, slaves to debt, and that's not a good situation. When somebody's in debt, they can more easily be controlled, that sort of thing. But I hear a lot of people talk about why. Personally, I like to use these dollar coins a lot. The U.S. Mint has these, Sacagawea dollar coins and the Susan B. Anthony dollar coins, and now the President dollar coins. I like using the dollar coins a lot, but people say, well, they're never going to be really successful as long as the paper dollar's still around, because people don't want to carry heavy coins around. Well, they don't really weigh that much, and so the people are always wondering, why don't they discontinue the paper dollar? Because all the other major countries in the world have discontinued their lower paper denominations, have higher denomination coins. Like in Europe, I think, like 2 or 5 euros or something is the coin, and the paper bills are above that. Yeah. Canada has a $1 and $2 coin. I think that Canada's lowest bill is a 5. So the government can save a lot of money by using a dollar coin instead, because the dollar coin costs more than a dollar bill to make initially, but it lasts far longer. I mean, the average lifespan of a dollar bill in circulation is 18 months or something like that. But the people say, well, they point to all these smokescreen stories like, the Kennedy family owns Crane paper and they don't want to give up their contracts with the government for supplying the paper to print the paper money on, et cetera, et cetera. But the real reason that the dollar coin or the dollar bill has not been withdrawn in favor of the dollar coin is because the dollar bill and the dollar coin are made by two different entities and essentially, in a way, competing at some level for market share, so to speak. The dollar bill is issued by the corporate-owned Federal Reserve. Dollar coin is issued by the government-owned Treasury. So I use the dollar coins whenever I can. I've spent 30 of them at a time. But there was a bill in Congress last year to turn over operation or control of the U.S. Mint to the Federal Reserve. I don't know if you remember hearing about that.
No, actually I hadn't.
It was a real bill in Congress. Fortunately, it didn't pass, but there was a real bill in Congress that would have turned over all operation and the running of the United States Mint to the Federal Reserve. If that had happened, you would see, well, they probably would have withdrawn the dollar bill in short order and gone with the coin. The other thing that bill might have done is, the U.S. Mint is custodian of the United States gold reserves, and who knows, maybe it could have been a sly, underhanded way of forking over the entire United States gold reserves at the stroke of a pen.